Hello, welcome to the show. Great to have you along. I'm really looking forward to today's conversation with Brenda Laughlin and Brian Turk from Enavrio. Enavrio is a very cool HR tech consulting network and HR services marketplace. So there's a lot to cover, a lot to dive into. But firstly, Brenda and Brian, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Now, you are truly a distributed firm. Whereabouts are you guys based?
Well, I co-locate in Colorado and Florida.
Excellent. How about you, Brian?
Just north of the city of Indianapolis in Indiana, in the Midwest, US.
And our consultants are all over the world.
That's fabulous. Excellent. Well, yeah, I'd love to learn more about it and dive into it. Firstly, let's look at some of the challenges from the employer's perspective, whether that be strategic HR change or tech selection and implementation. Maybe, Brian, if I could start with you, what are your thoughts on some of the challenges that companies face when they're trying to get these HR strategies and technologies in place?
Of course. Well, HR wears many hats, of course, and managing technology is a necessary component of that to support everything else. But that piece itself can be overwhelming. The HR tech landscape is very broad, very vast, and getting the right guidance isn't always easy. So oftentimes HR teams don't have the right internal guidance and have a hard time finding the right external guidance to navigate this space and ensure that they're utilizing, and even before utilizing, selecting their technology effectively in a way that's going to work for them. And then once they do, oftentimes it's difficult to have them in place in a way and manage their systems in a way that they're getting the full ROI, so that the way that vendors design their systems is correctly and properly aligned with how they do business. And then a third one that I'll mention here is just finding resources, finding people, getting HR tech practitioners or external consultants who have experience is often a roll of the dice. You can spend lots of money and end up with very high salaries on your team and find that the people you're hiring don't quite have the level of experience or aren't quite as adept as you might have been hoping. That applies both for internal hires, by the way, as well as external consultants. So it's easy to overspend on talent that under delivers in this space. So lots to consider here for HR leaders.
Yeah. And how do HR teams, HR leaders typically try and solve some of those problems? Because it may be overwhelming. How do they currently do it?
Oftentimes they just go to staffing firms, or they reach out to consulting firms, or they'll just plug in a search string on LinkedIn. And again, it's kind of like throwing darts. If you're doing your own search, you don't really know necessarily the names that come up in your search, who's credible, who has the experience to back up what they've listed on their profile or their resume. Same thing with staffing firms. And then with consulting firms, oftentimes you run into the same problem. You don't know who they're going to staff on your project or your engagement. So that's a difficult approach, but typically those are the avenues that they explore.
Yeah. And it's the classic story. You find an excellent consultant or freelance or whatever, and then suddenly they're gone. They just disappeared somewhere and you've got to start again. So, yeah, I've been there on the HR side of things, that's for sure. And Brenda, Enavrio itself, so I was looking through, seeing what you guys do, and there's quite a range, some great stuff there. So you've got on-demand talent, strategy and road mapping, visioning and innovation, implementation, optimization, HR tech training and development, data privacy and analytics. Do you want to give us your quick summary overview of what Enavrio does?
Yeah, that was a great rundown. Really, Enavrio can help you with anything you need related to your HR tech implementation, selection, or ongoing maintenance. We have experts in all the different areas, and our goal is to help solve whatever problem you have, or help you be successful in your use of technology.
Nice. So yeah, Brenda, if I turn then to the very cool consulting network that you guys are building out, I think it's a wonderful way to service clients and deal with HR challenges. But firstly, from the consultant's perspective, the independent consultant's perspective, what kind of challenges do you think that they would be dealing with because they would potentially be joining your network? What would be driving them towards working with you guys in the first place?
Well, some of the best experts, some of the best talent out there are independent. And They have so much to offer, yet they have to spend their time on business development, invoicing, a lot of the administrative marketing, get their name out there. And then sometimes they're very niched in one little area. And so they work with a client and a client has another need and they can't support it. So our network is just really helps fill those gaps.
I'm just picturing a typical independent consultant, and I don't think anyone of that group has ever woken up thinking, oh, I would love to do some admin work today and maybe make some sales pitches for companies and hopefully I get something out of it. So
yeah.
You're helping them deal with those problems, I'm guessing.
I think a lot of people dream of running their own shows, setting their own hours, working with who they want to. And there are some really great things that come along with that. But there's always the other side of it that can be very challenging. I was a freelancer for several years and ran a small boutique, and it's that day-to-day administration, that business development, just not even having anybody to reach out to when you have a problem, to reach out when you have a question or you have another need. There's some of the things that make it lonely and difficult as a freelancer.
Yeah. And that's especially when you've got a difficult situation and you've got no one to bounce ideas off and get tips and ideas on how to solve that problem.
Yeah, and it's hard to keep up on things when you're so busy delivering. It's really difficult to keep up on what's the latest going on in your industry when you're I'm super focused on, I implement SuccessFactors and I know everything about SuccessFactors recruiting module. It's hard to keep aware of everything else that's going on in the industry. So we try to fill that gap for you. Try to help you keep up to date on things.
Yeah. So let's look at exactly how an independent consultant could benefit by being part of the Enavrio Consulting Network. Do you want us to describe what some of those benefits and positive points are?
Yeah. So you kind of get the best of being with a consulting firm, yet still have the flexibility and independence to build your own business. When you're a part of the Enavrio network, you have the ability to get work from us. We find work for our consultants, but also if you have your own work, we can provide team members to help you with that. We have great partnerships with vendors to help kind of offset some of the expenses of running your own business, whether it's, like I said, whether it's the admin or expenses around like a particular vendor, their expenses just to continue to be a freelancer. So we have those types of things that we can help with as well. And we have partnerships to that as an independent, oftentimes you can't get medical benefits, insurance type things, and we have those available. We have partnerships that will help you get benefits worldwide.
Nice. Very good. I'm guessing you probably can do things like cover for leave, taking PTO or vacation.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you're a freelancer, when you're independent, you have to figure out how can I go on it? Can I even go on a cruise, right? There's oftentimes not very good cell phone coverage on a cruise. You can't go unless you really, really plan ahead. And so with this, we can provide backups to you where you can have other people that can step in and cover for you like you were at an organization. Yet you still have all that flexibility to build your own business.
Nice. And you shouldn't really be taking Zoom calls on a cruise. No one wants to see that. Someone answering the call in a bikini, let's face it.
Yeah, I just don't think it's possible. At least not on the cruises I've been on.
Yeah. And Brian, what kind of projects do you think people are getting involved, or do you see people getting involved in the network? What kinds of HR tech things are they doing?
Sure. Well, the projects can range anywhere from the initial selection of a new HR system, the implementation of a new HR system, all the way from designing a new process to aligning a new system's functionality to those processes, helping HR stakeholders or business leaders articulate their business requirements, turning those business requirements into technical specifications, all the way through testing a new system to training new users. Each one of those individually can be its own project. Sometimes they'll tie together end to end. And then sometimes clients come back and say, or they come to us for the first time and say, someone else implemented this for us. We don't like how they did it. We don't know if it's the vendor's fault because they're missing features and functionality, or we just didn't get the right consulting team to help us turn this into a reality for our organization. So we want you to come in and help us fix it or help us optimize your system. So those are some of the most fun, because you're not doing all the lifting of standing up a new system. You're taking a good foundation that's there already, and you're helping them bring it to life even better to align with their processes. And that's where you can really help them think differently sometimes, when they're not distracted by some milestone or date where they're going to lose their old system and they have to cut over to their new system, or else they're going to be without job applications or without an HRIS or something like that. So very broad span of possibilities there with the types of projects we can place consultants with.
Nice. You actually just got me thinking that we're all different. We've all got our, not necessarily strengths and weaknesses, but areas of interest and things we like working on more. And that was a great example you just shared, that setting up a new system, that's someone's jam. People love that. And then others love not necessarily the maintenance part, but improving things, making those 1% improvements over time and making it better and better. So I'm picturing the phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats. It's kind of along those lines. Someone comes in and may do a wonderful implementation, but that's me. I love that stuff, and I want to go now and do another one of those. Whereas someone loves improving things all the time. They'll take those kind of projects, and I imagine that can, grow in volume and size. Is that a fair call?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much helpful to be able to place people with the work they feel they do best and they enjoy the most. And that's the power of having a team and a network, is that we can align people with the right opportunities and allow them to explore their niche, to dive into their niche. And then in those areas where maybe they don't have the right specialization or the interest, we have a team to support them in those areas as well. So if a client has a broad spectrum of needs, then we can place them on a team that complements them so they can focus on what they do best and love doing the most.
Nice. So Brenda, help me summarize this from the employer or the HR team's perspective. You've got projects or a body of work that needs to be done. So you can call upon the network for either a full bench or for individual projects, things like that. And you've got backup, so there's confidence in that side of things and all the experience and knowledge, etc. And then from the independence perspective, you're getting good work, more of it, probably better paid, I'm imagining, and it's a bit more of a community feel. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, that's a perfect summary. From an HR leader perspective, we can help in any way, whether I just need a person to fill in because I have somebody on maternity leave, or I have somebody that's out for whatever reason, or I need ongoing extra support on this area of expertise, or I'm doing an implementation. We can put a person on, or we can put a whole team and help you with the entire project. So whichever way. From a consultant's perspective, I think your quote about the tide rises all boats is really what we're about. Instead of all the freelancers out there, we work with small boutiques too, without them having to be out there and compete with each other and trying to one-up each other. We're here to help everybody, have everybody be successful, and working ways for you to build your business, grow your business without having to suffer alone through it, and to really just help everybody be successful. And so we think, I know saying the future of work is kind of a buzzword, that's really how we look at it. We think as we move more to a fluid workforce where companies tap into experts when they need to, and then they're able to go fluidly in and really work with people on their expertise when they need it and how they need it. And same with our team, that it provides a fluid team for them as well.
And then on the independence side of things, if you're an independent consultant, do they just need to give up their independent freelancing life to become part of the network?
Oh, no.
Or is there
no. On the
balance?
contrary, we want them to continue. If you've got business with other people, great, keep it. We want you to be a part of our network, be a part of our community, and know that when you need backup, you need support, or if you just want to offload invoicing or offload some of the legal stuff, we're here to help support you.
That sounds good, doesn't it? And then, Brian, if someone's listening to this and they are an independent consultant, or even if they're currently in-house and they're thinking of going out, they may be wondering, am I the right person for this network? what kind of person would be in the wheelhouse of the Enavrio network?
Sure. I would say the answer is yes and yes to both of your examples there. We love people who have already taken the dive in to the independent / freelancer world of work. We love people who are just curious about it. Even if you're a full-time employee somewhere, maybe you just want to explore the network to see how it works, to see who else is involved, what areas of expertise are represented, how your expertise might fit in there. So I would say err on the side of assuming that we would like you to be included. And worst case scenario, we may have an opportunity for you that you may have to say no to. And best case scenario, we can work together right away or sometime in the near future. So I would say regardless, we err on the side of inclusion. And we feel that whether you're able to work with us on an active engagement or just come in and share your knowledge with other consultants or other practitioners, your presence is valued. We welcome all types of workers at this point.
And I'd like to add to that. That was perfect, Brian. I just want to add to it. It's a really rough time right now. And I'm sure as you're looking at this, but it is just really rough. And a lot of people are just trying to figure out, okay, am I still going to have a job? I'm trying to still, even on your salaries that you might have with a consulting firm or you're an HRIS person, even other types of HR tech consultants that aren't directly in the project, you're just trying to figure out how to make ends meet. We have people come to us who say, I only have 5 to 10 hours a week. I'd really like to just moonlight and work on some projects. We have other people who are like, I think I could be prime for layoff. Can I get in your network? So it's really great. Just join our network and you can keep an eye on, there might be an opportunity that works for you. Or in any case, you just have the great community and the chance to learn from what's going on and keep up with what's going on in the industry. So we want everybody, even if you're not ready to be a freelancer, even if you're not ready to be an independent, just join our network. We want to have you a part of it.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then just as we start to wrap up, I know you guys are distributed, but I guess maybe that makes it easier for you to be everywhere because you are everywhere, it seems, at the moment. I've seen you doing webinars and training sessions with different companies. You've been at tech conferences. So yeah, I'm curious, what are you doing to get the word out there about the Enavrio network?
Of course. So we have a few different channels. One is that we work with vendors. We work with vendors who we align with both in terms of audience, in terms of our approach to work, who align with our, as Brenda mentioned earlier, that somewhat cliched future of work. Everyone says they do future of work, but we feel that some vendors align better with that than others. So we love to partner with vendors who we feel we align with and co-create our audiences with them. We're doing quite a few webinars nowadays, as you mentioned, Ben. Anything related to HR, talent management, anything related to how people are being matched with work nowadays. We love to be at the leading edge of those topics and get out there on webinars and podcasts and share our thoughts on social media channels, LinkedIn and Twitter and so forth. Those are two of our primary ways of broadcasting, in addition to all the conversations Brenda and I both have on a weekly basis with people who are consultants, who are freelancers, independent consultants, aspiring independent consultants. We love talking to people who do this work, regardless of whether they work for large organizations, small organizations, or work independently. We do a lot of talking in some. I don't know, Brenda, if you have anything to add to that, but we do a lot of talking.
Our network has grown by referrals a lot. I feel like when we talk to a consultant, the response is, yes, this is exactly what I need. I need a community, and they can think of other friends. We want to continue pulling in all of our friends. Every consultant knows a lot of other consultants that they interact with, and let's all come together.
You raise a good point with that. They don't just know other consultants, they know clients.
Yes.
That's actually one of the great win-win scenarios that we've come across within our network is one person can only keep themselves so busy and they can only handle so much work coming in. So we find that to be a great outcome of our collaboration is expanding pie as we bring new people into our network who have those established, trusted relationships with clients or leaders who go from client to client. It sort of expands the pie for us. That's a great organic way that we found we're able to grow our network on the client side while growing it on the consultant side.
Am I right in thinking that you guys are HR nerds? I'm just picturing your parties or barbecues on the weekend. Can I just tell you about the latest? No. I do love the fact that you're having these conversations and these webinars and you're at the events. I think that's great for two reasons. One is for the independent consultants. It means that you're connected, as you say, collectively educating the market and growing the pie and introducing new clients to the group as a collective. So that means there's more work, there's more projects, there's more of a backup, etc. So it's that ever supporting thing. And then for clients themselves, it shows again that you're connected, you've got your finger on the pulse, you know what's going on, and it just means that you've got more and more experience collectively that says, yeah, we've seen that project 10 times, and I just want to warn you, there's a few things that can go wrong if you don't follow the right plan or follow the practices, and we know that stuff, and we've got the team for it. So from both sides, I think that's a great thing. Yeah. I think you've covered so much there, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for consultants and for companies to get involved. Brian, if people want to learn more about this, either as a consultant or as a client, what should they do next?
If you're looking as an organization that would like some help with HR, talent management, any technology related to those areas, Enavrio.com, E-N-A-V as in Victor, R-I-O.com. If you are specifically interested in becoming part of our consulting network, Enavrio.com/collective, COLLECTIVE. And we have some information and an intake process that starts there.
Brilliant. Brenda or Brian, thank you very much. And thanks for putting up with me insulting you as HR nerds. But, you know, if the cat wet. No, but brilliant. And I love what you guys are doing, and I wish you all the best with it.
Oh, thank you so much, Ben. Thanks for having us on your podcast.